High Plains Technology Center, turning education and training into workplace success.
Oh, back to school, to prove to Dad that I'm not a fool.
High Plains Technology Center, education at the speed of business. School is now in session.
Good morning, Woodward and surrounding communities. Taylor Brent at High Plains Technology Center coming to you live. Man, middle of the week, hump day. Got two special guests in. This is going to be an awesome show. I'm going to set this up on a tee. Not like there's any pressure or anything, but I'm going to let these two lovely ladies introduce themselves.
All right. Well, I'm Amber Riley. I'm the part-time counselor at High Plains Technology Center, and I'm here with my cohort, Marge in charge.
This would be Audra Halderman, and I am a counselor as well, and this will be my second year at High Plains.
She's the full-time.
I was waiting for you to really emphasize that part-time with that smile.
Part-time.
The golf game's gotten better, has it?
Yes, much
Okay.
better.
All right.
Pickleball, I think,
And
is.
pickleball, golf. I'm doing it all.
Pickleball is legit.
It is
It is
legit.
the perfect old person. Not calling you old, calling myself old. Really want to preface that right now. So, yeah, it's the perfect old person sport.
Retirement
It
job.
is.
You should have said
Yes.
retirement
Okay,
job.
all right.
Yeah, I kind of jacked my knee up a little bit, and the doctor very gently said, well, with a more experienced knee.
Okay, more experience.
Yeah, so there
Mine's
you go.
the Achilles, but I'd rather have the knee than the Achilles. I don't
Mine's
know.
experienced.
Okay, all right. But we are very blessed at High Plains, and I wanted to bring these two ladies on because we get to have part-time. We get to have Amber there doing a lot of things, but we also are blessed to have Audra also. And we've increased in student numbers so much because, Amber tried to do the peace out, see you later, but we really did the no, hey, come on, there's enough here. There's a need here. There's the experience here, with things. And people, in my opinion, once again, this is my opinion, counselors go underrated in school systems too much. My wife was a counselor for a while as well. Now she's the mean principal that gives SWATs. No, I'm just joking. She's not. And I don't think they can give SWATs anymore. Yeah.
They can't.
But I just wanted to really touch on, kind of the role at High Plains that you play that's different, especially Audra. You just really came from a school atmosphere. What's that transition been like for you?
So in a small school, my role generally was a little bit of a utility player, a little bit of everything, and that hasn't largely changed.
Love the baseball reference. Baseball mom playing the baseball reference.
Yes. So you kind of did whatever was in front of you to do, and you were the person, you were the mom, I guess, of the school.
Okay.
So you have your bosses, and then you had the mom. That would be what I did at Visai.
Especially only second year, right?
Yeah, so it's a little bit different at High Plains.
It is a little bit different because, Amber, as you've transitioned, what do you think the one transition was the hardest transition? Because you came from public ed experienced years ago.
Right.
What was the biggest transition for you?
I believe
those
that was
years?
26 years ago. Yeah, you can go ahead and say it. Gosh, the biggest transition, I think, I was at Woodward Middle School for 11 years, and I think my job role at Woodward Middle School was more specific. I had a set guidelines and set things that I had to work on. And at High Plains, it was much more similar to what Audra described. I became kind of the jack of all trades. So I did some administrative things and counselor things and took over several
babysitting assistant superintendents and superintendents.
And so what I love is now they've divided all that by 4 people. And so they've kind of spread things out. So Jennifer Dew is now doing accreditation.
Yep.
And that's been really nice. And I'm doing all of the IEPs, the individualized education
there
programs.
You go. You beat me to it. Been on radio before. She's going to get that acronym
for students
out there.
who might need additional assistance. And then Audra's doing all of the many other things. So, and Dawn Gaines, she's doing recruitment, and Dawn has taken the EOP over, the Emergency Operation Plan. So that's in his ball court now. So it's been good.
And if you guys could see the smile when she says all these things.
I don't miss any of it.
When I think of also what's very essential, the before and after is the career counselor aspect with things that we get to do High Plains in your job roles as well. Talk a little bit about that, because I think it's underserved, because it is a little bit different as well than it is in the high school.
It is different, and Audra is doing a great job at that, and I'll let you tell them what
there
you're
we go.
doing.
So I have a great partner with the career counseling, and that's Darla Borden, and she runs our academic center. So that we have tests that come in and kind of tell them they can take this interest inventory and kind of point them in the direction that they want to go. And then we talk about the different programs. We have tours. We talk about the programs that they may be interested in or aligned in based on those testing or based on what they know already about themselves. And then we head them toward that direction, or we hook them up with a place that is better for them. I do a lot of college too. We don't ignore the college world. So if the kids are getting their skills training here and going to add on at another tech center or college, we kind of research those places out. That's kind of by individual appointment. But I do a lot of that.
The cool thing is we get to keep them even longer if need be as well, because, you know, the adult programs that we have also. What was the number one thing that you thought you knew a lot about High Plains that you're like, oh, wow, I did not have any idea? Because I even 14 years later, I still have some of those times.
I wasn't completely aware of the amount of students that we are serving for skills. So 70% of people postgraduate, like as you go through skills-based, only 30% of your kids will head to college. And so we have the rest of those kids to get a skill in their hand before they hit the job world. And I was not aware of that when I was in public schools. So,
Amber, coming from Woodward Middle School 26 years ago, you were there when they had SHOP back in the day.
Yes.
Shop.
And I think the cool, you know, Coach Jones, shout out, Coach Jones, Mr. Coach Harrington for my deal. But when you look at what we got to do when you were at the Woodward Middle School with the transition to TAP, was it one of the most? I mean, you know, could you liken back to those times?
Oh, sure. You know, when I was at Woodward Middle School, we had SHOP, and then Daryl Jones and Frank Harrington transitioned that into Tech Ed. Remember Tech Ed?
Yep.
And, you know, they did phenomenal things.
Well,
with
actually,
that
I don't
Tech Ed
remember
program.
Tech Ed. I think I was just
You might have been SHOP,
Yeah.
right. But, you know, Tech Ed, those students participated in Career Tech CTSOs. So they went to competitions and did all of those things. So that part I was very comfortable with and very familiar with, CTSOs. You know, but the transition, I think, from the TAP program is that with Tech Ed, you know, they mainly did computers and robotics and things like that. They did a little bit of the SHOP. They kept a little bit, but not much. It was really more computerized. And so now the TAP program focuses on the curriculum within all of the career tech programs. So the TAP students are working, you know, a few weeks on auto, then diesel, welding, health careers,
Little
nursing,
bit of everything.
wind. You know, they touch on all of those things. So I think they get a broader perspective of skills that are necessary for a wide variety of careers. And, you know, let's say I'm a TAP student and I want to be a nurse, for example. And I think, well, I don't want to be an auto mechanic. I'm only interested in health, but I'm still going to drive a car. I still need to know how to change the oil and change the tires. I still will own a home someday and need to know how to fix things. So all of those areas are covered within the TAP program that will be useful for the rest of their lives, whether they come to career tech or go on to higher ed or both.
You know, you talk about, man, in my opinion, the transition, you talked about health careers and with that and CNA, LPN, Jiminy Christmas, the options are pretty limited and limitless,
Right.
not limited, especially if you find out real fast if you want to do it and at an early age as well with things.
Well, you do, and I think you get a solid base, a solid foundation to build upon, you know, and sometimes people think, well, I don't want to do it because blood freaks me out, for example.
Yeah.
And then they get that experience and they find out, well, I can do it, or maybe I should be an X-ray tech where blood is at a minimum, you know.
Or school freaks me out for going for 93 years like
Right,
you have to do, it seems
right.
like, with things. You know, I touch upon things because, you know, you guys have probably a better grasp on it than anybody. A lot of people, I think one of the biggest hiccups that people say they're worried about today's generation. what do you think is the number one misnomer, mislabeled, stereotypical thing that you think's out there right now with today's generation?
I don't know. What do you think, Audra? I think maybe they sometimes get given a hard time about work ethic.
Yep.
And I don't think that that's really an issue. I think they want to work. It's just that making a decision on what path I want to take and how to get there, and I think it's
always
harder than it was when we were
I think
kids.
it's harder for us to see in the realm that we teach in too. At Tech Center, their hands are on the things that they're passionate about, and so we see that work ethic readily,
Right.
and they're goal oriented and more focused on their future, because they're doing things they love.
But don't you think they have more choices? I think they do, more so than when I was.
Absolutely.
That was a long time ago in a galaxy far, far
Well,
away.
I mean, and I think one of the worst things that we do to youth as well is, okay, you're 14 years old, figure out what you want to do the rest of your life.
Right.
That's the craziest thing that we do. And that's what I love about what we do at the Tech Center. I mean, going through TAP, they get a lot of a reason going through our place.
Absolutely.
Hey, if I want to be in health careers, I can figure that out. Blood does freak me out.
And I can completely
Try
change
'em
my
all on,
right. I
You
can
can try 'em
completely
all on.
change my focus and still have these skills for my life heading in a different direction.
yeah,
no
so-
question. I mean, it's just one of those things in the hands-on aspect, right? That's what I love.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, and when we talk about the number one aspect of things too, when it comes to mental health, that's kind of the hot button topic as well. It's always been there, don't you think?
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. But I do think that the kids today have a lot more pressure than we had because of this little box
No
right
question.
in front of me, because of the phones and social media.
It's just different.
We didn't have to endure that.
Yeah.
And so I think that is a
Yep.
bigger cause of anxiety than what we ever had to deal with.
There you go, and I guess that's where I was going. It's always been, because we've all grown up. We know what it's like, teenage angst, teenage
Yes, it's
hormones,
hard.
teenage emotion is difficult, but the social media is just an interesting dynamic when it comes to things.
I'm just so thankful no one took any photos when I was going through that. There's
let me
no
just say,
documentation.
this
thank goodness.
weekend, I was, we celebrated the win, and I was looking at my college-age daughter going, man, I'm glad there was not any way to capture moments from college like they were as they were taking the goalpost out and everything like that. So
Right.
We didn't
There's
miss
no
any.
evidence.
zero evidence. What do you think the number one attribute of kids needing to go out and conquer the world would be? I mean, we talked about things with the training aspect, but what's the number one character trait that you feel like?
Oh, I think it's a desire to work, a desire to get out there and get involved. I think anybody can learn anything, but you have to have
I don't
that
know.
desire.
My wife's been trying to teach me plenty of things.
Well,
for a long
that's true. Yeah, me and math, perhaps not. But I think, really, if the desire is there, the world is your oyster.
We talk about attendance a lot too. Show up and be on
Show up.
time, and
Love
you're
it.
going to be better than 70% of everybody. So
I tell everybody that all the time. Yeah, show
and be
up.
on time.
It's kind of a novel
got an
concept.
edge.
We all have bad days. Still show up.
Right.
If you show up, you're ahead of 80%, 70%. You have a great attitude. You're ahead of 99% out there in the world. You can move up because I do, opportunity. You said you talked about it. What do you think about the opportunity going back now, being younger, not as experienced as we are? Wouldn't that be pretty neat?
Oh, you mean yes, to be able
Yeah.
to go back in time, because when we were in high school, and Audra's quite a bit younger, but there were about 10 careers that you knew about. Doctor, lawyer, nurse, pharmacist.
And you had to go to college.
And everybody, yes, and it's just not that way now.
Yeah.
And I do think that people are becoming more receptive to the idea that you do not have to have a college degree to be successful. You can make certainly a very comfortable living in fields that do not require a college degree, and you can build your own business and do a wide variety of things. I think people are getting that more now.
One of the cool things that we do that you guys both spearheaded and Audra's taken it bull by the horns is the food insecurity is a big thing now. Talk a little bit about the Thanksgiving baskets that we actually do as well.
Our business and marketing teacher, Katrina McDowell, heads this up with her kids, and they organize it and facilitate it. And so they talk the kind of market the programs that we have within High Plains, and every program gathers a food basket, and the teachers turn in families that might appreciate such a gesture, and so those baskets will be distributed based on those recommendations and each program contributing.
Love it, because we are family. So
We are family. And, it's not just the programs. It's all of the areas like student services
Right.
and the biz side. And
even the WIN did it, and the
right,
WIN class.
everybody
Yep. So,
contributes to the food baskets, and that makes students in need, makes their holidays much more enjoyable, I think.
Well, thank you both for being on here. We'll get to go and conquer Wednesday. So, all right. Till next
It's going to be
week.
a great day.
There you go.